Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be going over is going to be the Mike Trout injury for the Los Angeles Angels and the effect that is going to have on the team. After that, we'll be going over the games of yesterday and just recapping all the action there, then going over the new World Series odds that have been announced. Now, before we do all that, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show today. All right, as I talked about, the first segment is going to be what I think everyone knows is the most significant news that happened in baseball recently, and that it is Mike Trout and him having a torn meniscus, and he will be out for a significant period of time is how I'm wording it. So, Trout, this is something that unfortunately is not a huge surprise nowadays. We know of Mike Trout. We know how good he is. We know he is the all-time great. He is one of the greatest players to ever touch the baseball field. I think he was at one point the front runner for greatest baseball player of all time, but his career has progressed, and unfortunately it's gone down rather than up, and injuries have been, unfortunately, the main culprit of that. Now, first off with this, I want to say how disappointed I am for Mike Trout and how sad I am for him. He was having such a great season, was one of the league leaders in home runs, was one of the league leaders in MVP, was finally having that bounce-back season that we all expected him to. You know, the last few seasons weren't awful, but they also weren't exactly to the Mike Trout standard, if you know what I mean. So finally seeing Trout go back to being the Trout we all know of, that elite guy, that elite hitter, and now getting hurt with it is really disappointing and really unfortunate. So I first of all want to say again how saddened I am for Trout and how sad I am just for everyone that loves watching him. Again, he was finally having that great season for the first time in a few years, and now it is gone for a little bit. So now let's just go over the actual injury. So he tore his meniscus, which he is tearing a ligament in his knee apparently, and he is supposed to be out for a significant period of the year, but not the whole year. Now, I don't necessarily know if I believe that, to be perfectly honest. A meniscus is a very serious injury, and we've seen a lot of people be out for a significant time when it does happen. I mean, it usually is a 12-month recovery if you do look into the science of it and the facts of it. So I'm not exactly sure how Mike Trout, who is older and is now going to return rather quickly from that injury. Now, what I will say is there's been a lot of updates in sports science over the past few years, sports medicine. I mean, the biggest example I'd have is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. He recently had a torn meniscus and returned rather quickly. He did miss most of the season, but it wasn't as significant of a time period as you may expect in the past for a torn meniscus. So I think that's factoring into it as well, that the Angels may be confident in their doctors, may be confident in the recovery plan, and be confident in how much Mike Trout does want to come back and how much he will attack his rehab. So that's possible. Again, there has been a lot of updates in sports science, sports medicine, just helping injuries in the past few years. So I could see that as a possibility, and I could see that as why they feel confident that Trout could come back soon. So that's possible. But the thing about Trout is it's not like he's young. You know, he's not a 24-year-old, 25-year-old who's just getting his career started in his prime. No, he's 30 now. He's been a player for a long, long time. He has an extensive injury history, so it probably isn't going to take him a shorter time period than most people with this kind of injury, because he is older, because he does have that extensive injury history. So I think that's also something to factor in here, just looking at what is going to happen. So I am sad for Trout again, having such a great season, and now it's cut short because of this injury. I think the realistic possibility is that he is back by early September at the earliest, and the latest is, of course, he missed the season. So that is unfortunate. Just for the impact on his career now, that's another thing I did want to talk about. I mean, I don't think it's a real shocking statement to say when I was growing up, Mike Trout was looked at as one of the GOATs, a guy who, when he retired, would be in the running for greatest player of all time, or could even be the favorite. You know, I'm 18, born in 2005, so growing up, seeing the mid-2010s Mike Trout, that was the guy. That was the guy you watched. You know, you always wanted to see what he was doing. That's the guy you wanted to collect baseball cards of, because he was, he was that guy. Like I'm saying, he was an elite player. He was the best player in baseball for a long, long time. He was going on track for be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I thought he was going to be the greatest player of all time when it was all said and done with how his career was going. And the thing about him was back then he didn't really have injuries. He might have had some like a regular player, but he didn't have any real significant ones. And he won 3 MVPs. Maybe should have won 1 or 2 more. Didn't get rewarded that because of voter fatigue. So you saw how great he was, and we're like, this guy's invincible. What's going to happen to him? Nothing. He's Mike Trout, right? He's going to be one of the greatest players of all time. But instead, now as he's gotten older, his career has decreased a lot. It hasn't gone exactly as planned, and it hasn't really gone to where people look at him the same anymore. So it's just unfortunate because of how his career started. Again, it started as this guy's the greatest player of all time. He's insane. He was basically not, I don't say this lightly, but he basically was the LeBron of baseball in his prime. Now, yes, the problem with Trout was he never won in the playoffs, but I think any baseball fan knows that was not his fault. The Angels organization has been incompetent for a long, long time, and it's not his problem that this team was built around him with guys who got awful contracts, guys who never performed, just guys who shouldn't have been on a major league roster. Yes, he got Shohei Ohtani. Yes, he got a washed-up Albert Pujols. He got some other okay pitchers, but there was never anything that was so significant where it would improve the team a lot. The Angels and Artie Moreno never really knew the tactic of, okay, instead of spending all this money on one player who's really good, spend it on 4 or 5 good players that are okay, that are going to impact the team a lot more. Instead of spending $30 to $40 million a year on Anthony Rendon, who would get hurt and never really play for the Angels, you could have spent that maybe on 3 quality starting pitchers, or 2 quality outfielders, or reliever or something. The Angels never understood that tactic of, spending the most money on one player doesn't make any sense. And I think that's really where the failures in his career came from. And unfortunately, it is what a lot of people are going to look at when Mike Trout is done. When Mike Trout retires in whatever 5 to 10 years, people are going to look at his career like, okay, he started off as one of the greatest players of all time, was on that track, but he never made the playoffs. He didn't win a playoff game. As of right now, he didn't win a playoff game. It's very possible he does in the future, but I'm not exactly sure about that. And, that he also got hurt, and he didn't really fulfill his full potential. So that's unfortunate that his Trout's career is going to be looked at that way. There is still a possibility that he gets rid of that, and that he still can be a great player in the future and continue his reign of dominance that he had once before. But we'll have to see. And another thing is with him, does he stay his whole career with the Angels? That's another thing. I keep talking about how incompetent the organization is, how they have no idea what they're doing. So if you're Trout, at some point you get frustrated and say, you know what, I've tried my hardest, I've been loyal enough, I've said I wanted to stay here multiple times when I could have requested a trade when we guys have been rebuilding, but it's time for me to go, and I want to get out. Now, I think that's a very big possibility in the future. I think that a lot of people don't really think about that, but I do think Trout at some point may just get frustrated and say, you know what, living in LA, having my family set in one place, it's just not worth it anymore. I want to go somewhere else. I want to start over. I want to be with a new team. I want to win a World Series. Trout's a very loyal guy. From everything we've heard, he does want to spend his entire career with the same team. That means something to him, which is honorable, but at the same time, he has to look out for his best interest and his legacy. Legacy in baseball isn't really as important as maybe in basketball or football, but it's still important. And I think Trout may just wake up one day and say, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to win. I don't think you guys can let me win. And he may just request a trade. We all know that if he's going to request a trade, he's only going to one place, and that place is the Philadelphia Phillies. Trout grew up a diehard Phillies fan. The Phillies love their stars. It would be an insane storyline. Phillies fans were convinced he was coming there after they signed Bryce Harper, that Harper was going to recruit Trout there. And Trout has a full no trade clause as well. So could we see Trout to the Phillies in the future? I don't know. I think that it's definitely possible, and I think anyone saying it's not possible is a little bit delusional. But so that's definitely what I'm watching, and I definitely want to see how Trout's career is affected and his legacy is impacted. When I'm telling people in the future, when I'm 30 or 40, about Mike Trout, what are they going to say? Are they going to say, oh yeah, I know how good he was, or oh, he was good for a few seasons, but he was injured and never lived up to his potential, and he never won, so why do you care? I think that's going to be something really interesting to follow and just interesting about his career. So that's something I am extremely just fascinated to watch as the future does go on. So the impact on the Angels here, I think, is pretty astronomical. I mean, it's Mike Trout, for crying out loud. He's had 10 home runs this year. He's one of the leaders in AL MVP. He's one of the greatest players of all time. I don't think you can really overestimate how big of a loss this is for the Angels. He's one of their better players. The Angels do have some good hitters in that core. I mean, Logan O'Hoppe, Mickey Moniak, Nolan Schnuel, Zach Neto. So you do have a lot of guys, but no one's Mike Trout. You just lost Anthony Rendon as well, which is a big part of your hitting core. So I don't think you can, again, overestimate how big of a loss this is for the Angels. Again, it's Mike Trout. We all know who he is. We all know how good he is. I don't think, saying anything like that, saying that, the Angels might be done now is an overstatement. So the Angels weren't that good anyways, but I thought they had a lot going for them. I thought that there was a lot of good pieces here that they didn't really have in the past. Again, I'm talking about it, their hitting core, Logan O'Hoppe, Zach Neto, Nolan Schnuel, Mickey Moniak, some other prospects coming up, like Nelson Rada is someone I think of immediately. So the Angels, for once in a little while, do have somewhat of a young core. They have some pieces, but I don't think they were ever going to compete this year, and I think losing Trout now just really solidifies that. The thing I'm interested to see is what draft pick do the Angels get? Because the problem with the Angels has been for the last few years, they haven't been bad enough to get a real top draft pick because they've had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Well, Ohtani's gone and Trout's hurt now. And also Rendon, who at healthy is still a good player, is out as well. So it's going to be interesting. Can they get a good draft pick, maybe even a franchise-changing guy to pair with Trout and help that young core? So this could be a blessing in disguise, quote unquote, for the Angels. I don't know if that's really something Angels fans want to look at, but they've kind of been stuck in this mediocrity for a little while. I compare them to the Chicago Bulls of basketball or the New York Islanders of hockey, but I think they were a little bit worse than those two teams because those two teams made the playoffs, while the Angels didn't. But again, they were just stuck in mediocrity, didn't really have a full plan. So it's going to be interesting to watch now with Trout hurt. Do they just go fully tank? Do they trade everyone? Do they try to get a good draft pick? I mean, they have some good trading pieces. You have Tyler Anderson, who's been a quality starting pitcher this year. Brandon Drury, who's a good player, an expiring contract. Some relievers as well, like Carlos Estevez, Adam Simber, Matt Moore. So it's going to be interesting to watch the Angels now without Trout, what their plan is and what does go on. So, it's very unfortunate for Trout to be hurt and for him to be out for the Angels. I don't want to say anything positive about that. There are some at least positives for the Angels and their team and their organization that they may have to determine a full lane of this is what we're going now. This is our plan and this is our future. And that is possible, and we'll have to see. But again, really unfortunate for Trout. Really do feel bad for him. He was having a great season for the first time in a little bit. Was looking consistent, was looking healthy, and just gets all shot down by this torn meniscus in his knee. So really unfortunate, and I really do feel for the guy. So that was our first segment here. Talking about the Mike Trout injury for the Los Angeles Angels. We'll be going to our second segment, which is going to be talking about the American League games of yesterday and just talking about all that action. I did want to switch it up and put these segments at 2 and 3 and open up with a different story. I felt like Mike Trout was the more significant one and the one to talk about. So, going to our second segment, and we'll see after that. We'll go to the break, and we'll see after that. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We're going into our second segment now, which is going to be talking about the American League games of yesterday and just all the action that happened there. But before we do that, I would like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's go into our second segment of the day. As we talked about, it is going to be talking about the American League games of yesterday and just the action that happened there. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. So the first game we have here is going to be Guardians and Astros. These two teams going at it to, one team that is heavily exceeding expectations and one team that, to be polite, is not. So I think we all know about the Astros nowadays. We don't have to go too deep into it. So, yeah, let's start off with the scoring, and that would open up in the top of the first with a Josh Naylor 3-run home run, his 7th of the year, having an amazing season so far for the Guardians. Bottom of the third, Alex Bregman, though, would answer right back for the Astros, hitting his own 3-run home run. His first of the year somehow has had a really rough start of it. Potentially could feeling the pressure right now of being a free agent next offseason and getting all that money and kind of, not wanting to screw up, but he's kind of overthinking it. He could be that, but first home run of the season, good for him to finally get that on the board. So it is 3-3 now. Bottom of the fourth, Joey Loperfido would hit an RBI single to score Tyler Freeman and Kyle Tucker to make it 5-3 Houston. Loperfido is the Astros' first baseman going forward after Jose Abreu was sent down by them because of his struggles. The bottom of the fourth as well, John Singleton would hit a 3-run home run, 8-3 Cleveland. Singleton is also a guy who's going to be in the first base rotation with Abreu now down in West Palm Beach, so that should be interesting. But great start by the Astros to get out in front early, 8-3, after the Guardians got out to a 3-0 lead. But the Guardians would not be done at all. Top of the sixth now, Andres Jimenez would hit a 2-run home run, his first of the year, to make it 8-5. Then Estevan Florial would hit a 3-run shot in the same inning, scoring Tyler Freeman and Will Brennan to make it 8-8, tying up the game. An amazing job by this Guardians offense. It really just does not quit. On top of the 10th now, David Fry would hit an RBI double to make it 9-8, scoring Josh Naylor. Again, great job by the Guardians offense to get ahead and take the lead. But unfortunately, in the bottom of the 10th, Victor Caratini would hit a 2-run home run to make it 10-9 Houston, his second of the year. And that would be a walk-off, and they would end up winning this game 10-9, of course. So, good job of the Guardians offense to come back, but the Astros in the end would win the game and take it from the Guardians. For the Astros, they had on the mound Hunter Brown. He went 5 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 5 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Having an awful season so far, almost a 10 ERA and a pretty good amount of starts. So, yeah, definitely needs to pick that up. For the Guardians, they had on the mound Carlos Carrasco, who went 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 2 home runs, a 7 ERA in the season now. Started off really well, but having his role be more of a impact for the Guardians has really not made him do well now. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. Next, we're going to be talking about Yankees and Orioles. These two teams would be playing, two AL East teams. Orioles won the first game of the series, so Yankees looking to get it right back. Bottom of the second, Jordan Westburg would hit an RBI fielder's choice, which would score Anthony Santander after throwing error by Gleyber Torres to make it 1-0 Baltimore. And then on the top of the third, Austin Wells would hit his first home run of the year to make it 1-1. Also his 5th career MLB home run in general, so congrats to him. Bottom of the fourth, James McCann would hit an RBI double to score Jorge Mateo to make it 2-1 Baltimore, and a Gunnar Henderson RBI single would make it 3-1. An Adley Rutschman RBI single would then make it 4-1 as well in the same inning. So, amazing job by the Orioles offense. Top of the sixth, though, Juan Soto would hit a solo shot, his 8th of the year, to make it 4-2, but it would be all said and done after that, and the Orioles would end up winning this game 4-2. So a really great job to take this series against their division rival. The Yankees did have on the mound Nestor Cortez, who was decent, going 6 innings pitched, giving up 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Just an okay start, nothing really too crazy to write home about. The Orioles had on the mound Dean Kramer, who went 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 2 home runs to a 4.19 ERA. So that was a pretty decent start by him there. Next game we have is Royals and Blue Jays. Top of the second, scoring would open up with a Michael Massey 2-run home run to make it 2-0 Kansas City. And in the bottom of the sixth, Bo Bichette would get a run back for the for the Blue Jays, making it 2-1 with an RBI single. Then in the top of the 8th, Bobby Witt Jr. would get some insurance runs for Kansas City, making it 3-1 with an RBI double. Benny Pasquantino would do the same, hitting an RBI double to make it 4-1 Kansas City. A lot of RBI doubles there for them, and they would end up winning this game 4-1 against Toronto. Now the Royals would have on the mound Cole Reagan to his great 6 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts, a 3.44 ERA in the season. Reagan's got off to a little bit of a slow start, but has really gotten it back in the past few starts and has been the guy we saw last year. The Blue Jays had on the mound Jose Barrios, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts, 1.44 ERA on the season. So really solid there. So good win by Kansas City, and good job to take advantage. Next game we have is going to be Red Sox and Giants. This game would open up in the bottom of the first with a Rob Refsnyder RBI single to score Tyler O'Neill to make it 1-0 Boston. Bottom of the second, Jarren Duran would hit an RBI single to score Reese McGuire to make it 2-0. And a Rob Refsnyder RBI single again would make it 3-0. And a Wilyer Abreu RBI triple would make it 4-0 Boston in the bottom of the fourth. And after that, no scoring would commence, and the Red Sox would end up winning this game 4-0. So really nice job to shut out this Giants team and end up winning this game in a good way. I think that anytime you can get a shutout, it's a real big positive. The Giants had on the mound Logan Webb. He went 3 2/3 innings pitched, giving up 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Not the regular Logan Webb start we're used to. He's usually a lot better than this, but I think you can take one mediocre start from Logan Webb, but he's so good otherwise. The Red Sox had on the mound Cooper Criswell, who went 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. He has been a really big surprise to the Red Sox. I did not expect him to be this good so far into his MLB career, but he's been really solid and just a really big benefactor for the Red Sox. So good for him and good for the Red Sox for signing him. Next game we have is Twins and White Sox, another one of this exciting series. The 6-24 White Sox, oh man, they are so bad. Bottom of the third, Eloy Jimenez would open up the scoring to make it 1-0 Chicago. Then in the bottom of the fourth, Tommy Pham would reach on a fielding error by Carlos Santana to make it 2-0. Top of the fifth, though, Willie Castro and Kyle Farmer would get runs back for the Twins, tying up the game at 2. Willie Castro would hit a triple and Farmer would hit a double. Both would get in 1 run to make it 2-2. Bottom of the fifth now, Danny Mendick, back with the White Sox after a short stint in New York, would make it 4-2. But a Trevor Larnach would strike out swinging, and Max Kepler would steal second base, which would cause Ryan Jeffers to steal home to make it 4-3. So an interesting play by the Twins there, and just a good job of taking advantage of that and scoring runs on it. So nice job there. Top of the 8th, Carlos Correa would tie up the game for the Twins, hitting an RBI single to make it 4-4, and a Trevor Larnach RBI single would make it 5-4. Unfortunately for them, in the bottom of the 8th, Andrew Benintendi would hit a solo shot to make it 5-5. But top of the 9th, Max Kepler would hit a sacrifice fly with 2 outs in the inning to score Byron Buxton to take it 6-5 Minnesota. They would end up winning the game off of that. So a nice job late for the Twins to come back and win it. Like the White Sox were going to take it for a little bit, but again, the Twins have been really good recently and have been doing really, really solid. So that's a good sign there. They are playing currently as well, so if anything exciting happens there, we may update it, but we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. But the Twins, they had on the mound Simeon Woods Richardson, who was really solid for the amount of innings he did pitch. Only went 3 2/3, going 7 hits, 2 runs, only 1 earned, 2 walked, and 2 strikeouts, no home runs. Really solid start so far this season, 2.45 ERA in 14 innings, so really good job there. The White Sox had on the mound Michael Soroka, who went 4 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Not a good start to the season so far. Again, not a horrible start there, but again, I think you'd like him to go deeper into games for a guy of his caliber and what he's done in the past. So okay and not okay, just kind of decent there. So that's all you really can say about that. Next game we have is going to be Rangers and Nationals. Scoring would open up in the top of the first with a Luis Garcia RBI single to make it 1-0 Washington. For Nationals fans, that would be all they got, as Jonah Heim would hit an RBI single, a Corey Seager RBI groundout, a Josh Smith solo shot, a Nathaniel Lowe RBI single, a Evan Carter RBI single, and a Luis Taveras 2-run home run would make it 7-1 Texas. Scoring would happen all throughout the game. Washington would outscore after the first, and the Texans would end up winning this game 7-1. They had on the mound John Gray, who was incredible. 8 innings pitched, 3 hits, an earned run, no walks, 3 strikeouts. After the first inning, he went 7 innings of scoreless game, and even with the run giving up 8 innings pitched, only 1 earned run. That's pretty phenomenal. Great job by him. The Nationals had Mackenzie Gore, who went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts, a 3.19 ERA on the season. Pretty solid start there. Not going to complain too much about that. So good win by the Rangers there, and a great start by John Gray. Again, with all the pitching injuries they've had, I've talked about this a few times now, guys like John Gray, who are just kind of mediocre arms in that rotation, are going to have to step up, and that was a good job by him to be able to do that. Next game we have is going to be A's and Pirates. So this game would open up the scoring in the top of the first with a Connor Joe solo shot, his 30th of the year, to make it 1-0 Pirates. And in the bottom of the second, Abraham Toro would hit an RBI single to make it 1-1. Tyler Nevin in the same inning would also hit an RBI single to make it 2-1. Brian Hayes would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 2-2. And a J.J. Bleday solo shot, his second as an A, would make it 3-2. Bleday would hit another home run, his third as an A, to make it 5-2, and the A's would end up winning this game. I mean, the A's have kind of been on fire recently. They're 14-17. Who would have thought that? I mean, geez. Pirates had on the mound Mitch Keller, who went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Pretty solid start there. And the A's would have Alex Wood, who went 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Want to keep the walks down and want to make sure he goes deeper into the game, but still good results for him. Again, that's really kind of all you can ask for right now. So decent start for him there for the A's as well. I mean, they're rolling. I didn't think I'd say that, but they have been really, really good, so props to them. Final game we have for the AL slate is going to be Braves and Mariners. Mariners would open up the scoring in the bottom of the third with a 2-run shot from Jorge Polanco to make it 2-0. And then Dylan Moore in the bottom of the fourth would make it 3-0 with an RBI double. Top of the eighth, Ozzie Albies would answer back for the Braves, hitting an RBI single to make it 3-1. And an Austin Riley RBI single would make it 3-2. And would move Ozzie Albies and Austin Riley to third and second after a throwing error by Andres Munoz. Unfortunately for the Braves, they would not take advantage of that and would not end up scoring after that. And they would lose this game 3-2 to Seattle. The Braves had on the mound Reynaldo Lopez, who again was really solid. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a home run. Him and Jordan Hicks, I mean, they're proven that relievers can turn into starters, and when you have the right organization to do it, it's really not that hard. Both of them have been pretty extraordinary as starters, so props to them and props to their teams for recognizing this and doing it. The Mariners had on the mound Luis Castillo, who went 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. Really, really amazing start there. I mean, great job. 7 innings pitched, no earned runs against an offense like the caliber of the Braves. Great job, and a great start overall for Luis Castillo. So, yeah, that is the end of our second segment here today, talking about the American League games of yesterday and just the action that comes with it. Moving into our third segment, which is going to be talking about the National League games of yesterday. So, yeah, stick around for that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about the National League games and the action of that from yesterday, and just recapping all the big stories and action there. So yeah, let's get right into it. We just did the American League, so only fitting to do the National League. First game we have is going to be the Cubs and the Mets. Honestly, a really exciting game here. Bottom of the first, Pete Alonso would hit a sacrifice fly to score Francisco Lindor to open up the scoring to make it 1-0 Mets. Top of the second, though, Miguel Amaya would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 1-1 Chicago. Sorry, just 1-1, and tie up the game for Chicago. So nice job there. But bottom of the sixth, with 2 men on. DJ Stewart at the plate would hit a mammoth of a home run, a 3-run shot, his 4th of the year, to make it 4-1 Mets. A great job by Stewart to come in clutch and hit that home run. I mean, really was a great shot. Looked really cool in Citi Field with all the lights going off. They've done a great job promoting that this year so far. So really exciting hit there, and a great job if you're a Mets fan watching. Very exciting. Top of the 9th, Matt Mervis would ground out to score Mike Tauchman to make it 4-2 Mets, but the Cubs would not score after that and would end up losing this game 4-2 to the Mets. Now, the Mets had on the mound Sean Manaea, who was very solid, going 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, an earned run, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts, a 3.07 ERA on the season. The Cubs had on the mound Javier Assad, who went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, an earned run, no walks, and a strikeout, a 1.97 ERA on the season. So, pretty solid starts for both teams. I mean, problem with the Cubs was Adbert Alzolay, who came in and gave up that big home run to DJ Stewart, so that kind of blew it for them. But overall, good starts for both teams, and good job there. Next game we'll be talking about is going to be Rockies and Marlins, 2 of the worst teams in baseball, so a little bit of a tank off here. I'm sure fans would be happy if their team lost, not won, because they want draft picks. Again, draft picks aren't as significant in baseball as they are in other sports like basketball, like football, especially football, but still, they still are important for baseball and still are something that is significant. So, top of the 1st, Ryan McMahon would hit an RBI single to make it 1-0 Colorado, and then a Charlie Blackmon single would do the same. And a Hellas Montero 3-run shot in the 1st inning would make it 5-0 Colorado. So a really great job by this Rockies offense to jump out ahead early. I mean, really, really fascinating job there, and just really exciting. Scoring would not happen until the bottom of the 9th, when a Luis Arias would hit an RBI double to make it 5-1. A Dane Myers RBI single would make it 5-3. A Jesus Sanchez would be hit by a pitch to make it 5-4, and Emmanuel Rivera would hit a sacrifice fly to tie the game at 5. A 5-run 9th inning. What a blow to the Rockies. I mean, you cannot let that happen. I understand you're the Rockies, and I understand you don't have the best pitching, you don't have the best team, you don't have the best organization, but man, oh man, is that humiliating and not something you want to see. I mean, man, that sucks. We will go to extra innings now, as in the top of the 10th, Ryan McMahon would hit an RBI double to score Sean Bochard to make it 6-5 Colorado. Brian De La Cruz would hit an RBI double to tie up the game to make it 6-6, and the big blow would come for the Rockies with a Dane Myers RBI single to score Brian De La Cruz to win the game for the Marlins to make it 7-6, and as I said, win and walk it off. What an incredible win for the Marlins, coming back against the Rockies. Yes, it is the Rockies. They don't have the best pitching, but a 5-run 9th inning, end up winning the game 7-6 after going down that early, having no offense the entire game. I mean, a great job by them. A humiliating loss to the Rockies. I mean, oh man, but a great job by the Marlins and a great win for them. They had on the mound Sixto Sanchez, who went 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and a strike and a home run. So I think Sanchez should stick with being a reliever. I don't think the starting is going to work out anymore. I think he's pretty much done with that. So I'm not a big fan of Sixto starting anymore. The Rockies had on the mound Ryan Feltner, who was honestly unbelievable. 8 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Really strong start there. Really, really great job. So good for him and a good start overall. Next game we have is going to be Rays and Brewers. Scoring would open up in the bottom of the 1st with a Willy Adames sacrifice fly to make it 1-0 Milwaukee. Then a Bryce Terang RBI single would make it 2-0. A William Contreras sacrifice fly would make it 3-0. But Jose Siri gets some runs back for the Rays, making it 3-1 with a solo shot. Willy Adames would come in clutch again against his former team, feeling like a little bit of a revenge game here to make it 6-1 Milwaukee. A Richie Palacios RBI single would make it 6-2, and then a Bryce Terang RBI double for the Brewers make it 8-2, and they would end up winning the game at that score. So, really nice job by Milwaukee. Keep going, keep having this great season that they're having, and the Rays, they keep underperforming. Brewers had on the mound Freddie Peralta, who went 5 1/3 innings pitched, giving up a run, 2 earned, no walks, 7 strikeouts, and a homer, a 3.21 ERA on the season. Now, for the Rays, they had on the mound Tyler Alexander, a little bit of an opener, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. A decent start there, nothing really too crazy, and nothing to write home about, but not a bad start. So, okay there for the Rays, and gets the job done, I guess. Next game we have is going, by the way, nice win for the Brewers, of course. Next game we have is going to be Phillies and Angels. Scoring for this would open up in the top of the second with a Kyle Schwarber 3-run home run to make it 3-0 Phillies. Zach Neto would then tie up the game, would then get a run on the board for the Angels, make it a 3-1. So nice job there by Neto, and a nice job getting the Angels on the board for this game. So yeah, really solid job there. After that, you would have Luis Rengifo hitting a 3-run shot to make it 4-3 LA, and a Mickey Moniak RBI single would make it 5-3. Alec Boehm would hit an RBI single to make it 5-4, and a Nick Castellanos solo shot would make it 5-5 in the top of the ninth. So really great job with this back and forth of the teams. I mean, Mickey Moniak, first of all, getting an RBI single against the team that picked him first overall and trading him away. That's nice. So nice job again by the Phillies, tied up in the top of the ninth. And then, which I didn't even talk about, Johan Rojas with the big blow, a 2-run shot to make it 7-5 Philly, and that would make them win in this game for the Phillies 7-5. Phillies had on the mound Spencer Turnbull, who went 5 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts, a 1.67 ERA. Again, he's been really incredible out of the rotation so far. I think he might have to be a full-time starter for them. Really a surprising revelation for the Phillies, but one that's very welcome, obviously. The Angels had on the mound Tyler Anderson, who again was great. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Against the Phillies offense, you'll definitely take that, especially for what you usually get for Tyler Anderson. But he's been really solid this season so far. As I said before, I think could be a trade piece for this team, and could potentially be something that is a big positive here. So next, we would have Dodgers and Diamondbacks. I think we all know what happened with this game. It was the bee game, where a colony of bees would end up delaying this game for over an hour. A colony of bees, I don't know how to explain this, it sounds so crazy, I'm sure we all know about it by now, but a colony of bees formed in home plate on the netting, and that is why the game was delayed for an hour and a half. So that was pretty crazy. After the delay was done, the beekeeper who dealt with all of them got to throw out the first pitch, which was pretty nice. So really nice touch by the Diamondbacks here. I don't know how this happened, but it was crazy and it was really fun to watch. I mean, this game ended at like 2:30 in the morning, so that was something that was nice. But yeah, crazy game here. But going to the actual baseball action now. Bottom of the fourth, Christian Walker would hit a solo shot to make it 1-0 Arizona. Top of the fifth, a wild pitch by Joe Mantiply would score Andy Pages to make it 1-1. And with Max Muncy batting, Will Smith would score on a balk to make it 2-1 LA. Bottom of the eighth, though, Gabby Moreno would hit an RBI single to make it 2-2, and Will Smith would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 3-2. Bottom of the 10th, Christian Walker would hit a 2-run home run to make it 4-3 Arizona and end up winning this game. Diamondbacks had on the mound Brandon Hughes as the opener after Jordan Montgomery was supposed to start, and he got scratched because his arm was cold. So, but yeah, he was fine. 1 inning pitch, no earned runs, no real bad apples for the Diamondbacks coming out of their bullpen after Montgomery was scratched, so that's good. Dodgers had on the mound Landon Knack, who went 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Really nice job by him to have this quality start against a good opponent after all these shenanigans that happened before. Having a walk-off for this game was pretty unbelievable, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of B puns that people have been doing after this now about the Christian Walker one. People have been saying that's got a sting for the Dodgers. People have been saying it's unbelievable for the Diamondbacks. Just so many puns that could be happening, and they're all pretty great. So I'm not complaining. But what a game that was! And I mean, the action. I mean, a colony of bees forming. That's pretty crazy. Padres Reds now, bottom of the third. Drake Cronenworth would open up the scoring for the Padres, making it 1-0 San Diego. Then the bottom of the fifth, Manny Machado would hit an RBI single to make it 4-0. And a Jackson Merrill would reach on a fielding error by Spencer Steer and would make it 5-0 San Diego. Top of the sixth, Jonathan India would hit an RBI single to make it 5-2. Bottom of the sixth, Fernando Tatis Jr. would reach on a fielder's choice to make it 6-2 San Diego. Top of the seventh, Heimer Candelario would make it 6-3 with a solo shot. Stuart Fairchild would do the same, making it 6-4. but they would still end up losing this game 6-4 to the Padres, and that would be it. So nice job to come back at the end a little bit, but still would not end up winning, and was an unfortunate thing there. Reds had on the mound Nick Martinez against his former team. He went 5 innings pitched, giving up 3 earned runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Not the best start there. Hasn't had the best season as well, so didn't really shove it in the Padres' face like he maybe would have wanted to. Padres had on the mound Yu Darvish, who went 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Really great start there, coming off the injured list. Really just a positive there and just a great job. The final one we have is doubleheader, so I'm not going to go over both the games, but it was Cardinals and Tigers, and the Cardinals would win the first game 2-1, and after that the Tigers would win 11-6. So, a good job there for both teams to get a win. Tigers would end up blowing the Cardinals out in the second game, but the one thing I did want to focus on in the first game was that Jack Flaherty was starting for the Tigers against his former team, and boy did he come in clutch. 6 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts. Struck out the first 6 batters of the game. It was a great revenge start for Flaherty. You could tell he felt some kind of way about it. You could tell he wanted to do the start, wanted to make it great, and good job for him to, again, as I said, kind of shove it to your former team, say, you let me go, you traded me for nothing, and I'm great, and look what I'm doing. Still hasn't had the greatest season for Detroit. I mean, his ERA right now is clean at 4, so not horrible, but definitely not exactly what the Tigers wanted, I'd say. So not great, but still, it's always nice to, give it to your former employer and give it to your former team that, you let me go, look what I'm doing, look at my outings now. So good for him. So that was it for the National League games and just the action that came with it. Moving into our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about the World Series odds. They just did drop the newest one, so we'll be talking about that and just my thoughts on it, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about the World Series odds that just came out, and just my overall thoughts on them. We'll be going from 10 to 1, and do I agree with these teams where they're placed? Do I think they should be on here at all? I'll let you know, and let's get into it. So, at number 10, we have the Toronto Blue Jays. Not an entire surprise here. I think we all know about the Blue Jays and know about how good they've been in the past, and I think a lot of people are still very high in them. So that does make sense there here at 21 to 8 odds, 28 over 1 odds. So not the highest, but if you bet on them, you'll make some good amount of money. But I don't really know how I feel about this, honestly. I understand why the Blue Jays are here. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of great players. They have a lot of potential, but I don't know if they've ever fulfilled that potential. And I think there's a lot of teams that could have been on here. I'll look right now, since we're going over number 10, the Brewers aren't on here. I think the Brewers have a better chance than the Blue Jays to win a World Series. I'd say the Cubs are a better team as well. I'd also put the Reds here. I think there's a good amount of teams here that should be probably above the Blue Jays. I just don't really agree with this. I don't think it's right. I understand why the Blue Jays are here, but I would have to disagree with this just because of what their record is right now, how they've been looking. They haven't looked the greatest. So I understand that the Blue Jays are here. I understand why. I get it. It's just, in my opinion, I think there are a few teams better than them, and I don't know if I'd have them here at 10. But I get the appeal of them. I do. Just not a bad take in my opinion. Just not exactly what I would have at number 10. No, number 9. By the way, also, the Cubs aren't here. I said the Cubs. I apologize. I meant the Brewers. The Brewers and Reds were the really main two teams. The Cubs are on here. We'll be seeing them pretty shortly. But, I said them. That was a mistake. The next we have is the Minnesota Twins at number 9 for 28 over 1 odds, same as the Blue Jays. I like the Twins being here. I know a lot of people probably won't like the Twins being here. I understand that. They haven't had the greatest start to the season. But look, they got rid of that. They're back over. They're 3 games over 500 now. And I still think they're easily the best team in that division. I still think they're going to win that division. The Guardians look great. I'm not gonna discount that at all. The Guardians, they look really good right now. Their offense is playing great, but I still think the Twins are a significantly better team. I think roster-wise, I think just overall they're a better team. So not take anything away from the Guardians. Guardians not on here as well. But yeah, I would have I think the Twins here is a good choice. I think they are the best team in that division. I understand they didn't start out the greatest, but I have them here. I maybe would even have them a little higher, but I do understand 9. It makes a lot of sense. They haven't started off the best, yes, but I still think they're a great team and still have a lot going for them and are still really, really great. So, number 8, we have the Cubs. Now, the Cubs is interesting. I don't know if I'd have them this high personally. It is kind of strange to me that the Cubs are here and the Guardians are not. Again, we're not very high on the Guardians. I just said I'm not entirely, but they've done great this season, and they've been hitting the ball really well, which is my main concern. The pitching has held its own, even with the Shane Bieber injury. So I think Guardians have a lot going for them right now. I think they could be on this list. Now, not take anything away from the Cubs because they've been doing really well. Shota Imanaga's been amazing. You're getting Justin Steele back soon, which is a really exciting revelation and something you obviously that is obviously going to help your team a lot. But at the same time, I don't know how great they are. They have a lot of good players, have a lot of good pieces, but I don't know if I'm the highest in them. I don't know if I'd have them here at number 8. I understand why they're here. It makes sense, but I don't know if I'd have them. I think I would have them on the list, just probably at number 10. But it's just, I think there's a lot of teams that are better than the Cubs right now and are going to be better than the Cubs that didn't make this list. So that's kind of a little perplexing to me and a little bit of a shock to me, and I don't necessarily agree. But I don't think it's a horrible take. It's kind of the same with the Blue Jays, so I get it. It's just not what I would have done. Number 7 is going to be the Seattle Mariners. Now for this, so for the Mariners, do I necessarily... I actually agree with this a lot. I think this is a great decision. I think this is exactly where they need to be. The Mariners haven't been the greatest this season. I think some of their players have been underperforming, mainly Julio, who is obviously their best player. So with the Mariners, I think they have a lot of great players. I think they have a lot of, especially pitching, and as we've seen the past few years, pitching is all that matters in the playoffs. Got a good rotation. You're going to be a good team. No worry about that. So I think the Mariners are a great team. I think this is a good spot for them. Number 7, I think it was a really good decision. And, overall, I think it was a good job to place them here. I think some publications or some people might not put them here and not have them this high, but I still like them. I think their pitching is just extraordinary, and it is the reason they deserve to be on a list like this. So I think overall it was a good decision, and I think that it was the right decision to put them here. They have a lot of great players on offense, namely Julio, a lot of great pitchers. George Kirby has been incredible. Bryce Miller has been incredible. Luis Castillo's been picking it up, being the ace that we all know of. So a lot is going right for the Mariners right now. They have a lot of great pieces and a lot of great players, and I definitely do agree with this decision here to put them at 7. I think it was the correct one, and I think that the Mariners deserve to be on this list, and I'd say 7's a pretty even spot for them, yeah. Number 6, it is the Texas Rangers. I don't know if I agree with this. I would have the Rangers on here. I'd probably have them a little bit lower because of their pitching injuries, because of the question marks they have in that rotation. Yes, we talked today about John Gray. He pitched really well, but at the same time, is he really going to pitch that well going forward? Are some of their guys really going to be as good as you want them to be? You're getting Scherzer back soon, yes, but it's not to be, kind of rude or a Debbie Downer. It's just Max Scherzer in 2024 is that guy, the guy you're going to rely on mainly. He wasn't that great for the Mets last year. He wasn't that great for the Rangers. He got hurt. He's coming off a big injury, almost 40 now. Is that really the guy you want to rely on? Now you're also getting DeGrom back, yes, but he's coming off Tommy John. He's had so many injuries these past few years. He might even just get injured again. So it's a lot of question marks with this Rangers pitching right now. Their offense, though, that's what's keeping them here. The offense is obviously incredible. It's insane. It's one of the best in the league, if not the best. So, yeah, I understand the appeal of the Rangers here. I do. I understand why they're here. I would have them on the list as well, just probably a little bit lower. So I like the team so far. It's just I think the order's a little weird. And the next one is continuing with that, because at this team next is going to be the Houston Astros, which I don't agree with this. I'm sorry. 14/1, pretty high up on the list. I don't agree with this. I don't. I'm sorry. The Astros, I would have them on the list. Yes, but they can't be this high with all the injuries they've had, with how everyone has been underperforming. I mean, not even the pitchers. Alex Bregman, we talked about, has been horrible. So the Astros have too many question marks for me to put them here right now. They just, I don't know if, I don't think I'd have the Astros this high. I understand the appeal. I understand why you're doing it. It is the Astros. They have won multiple World Series in the past years. They've been to the ALCS 5 or 6 years in a row, some insane amount, but it's just, to me, it's too high with all the injuries they've had, with all the question marks they have in that rotation, with that offense even now with Bregman being out. It's just, I don't know if I agree with this. I don't know if that's where I would put them, and I don't, no, I'm sorry, I don't agree with them being this high. Again, I understand the appeal, I understand why you're putting them there. They are still the Houston Astros, the big bad Astros of the past, but we got to look at the current right now, and they're not looking too hot. Moving into the top 5 here, we have the number 3 team in the National League, which is the Philadelphia Phillies. No complaints here. I think this is exactly where they should be. I think that this is a very fair model. I think this is 12/1 odds, pretty even to me. They have great pitching. They have a great offense. They've had some surprising guys come help the team, like a Spencer Turnbull I talked about. So I think there's a lot going great right now for the Phillies. I don't have any problem with this ranking, and I think this is probably around where to have them too. Number 4 is the number 2 team in the American League, according to this, the Baltimore Orioles, who are 10-1. And above them, would you know, is the New York Yankees. Now, it's basically a toss-up between these two teams in the American League. No real surprise here. These two teams are clearly the best 2 teams in the American League. This is where I'd have them. I'd have them at 4-3. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I think that it is very true. I think this is even. Orioles and Yankees, 2 elite teams, 2 of the best teams in the entire league. I don't think anyone's debating that. Yeah, nothing much to say here. Yankees, Orioles, makes sense. And we all know what 2-1 are. 2 is the Braves, 1 is the Dodgers. No surprises here, and no rebuttal from me either. I would have that as well. I would have the Braves 2. I'd have the Dodgers 1. As much as it pains me as a Mets fan who does not like the Braves, does not like the Dodgers, it's pretty clear. Number 2 and 1, they're the 2 best teams in the league. No matter their struggles, their rosters are incredible. The organizations are incredible. Everything about them is just elite and to the highest degree. So, great job there. Now, some teams I'm surprised aren't on here. First of all, I've talked about them before a little bit, but the Mets, I think, not on here. That's a good decision, but I think they are close a little bit, so we could see them. The Brewers, I'm surprised aren't on here. I'd have them on here with how they've been playing this year. The Reds are a toss-up to me. I still am very high on them. I still think they're going to be really good, so I might have had them on there, but I understand why they didn't. It's not something that's too crazy to me. The Diamondbacks are a team that I understand they're 14-7, but the additions they've had this offseason, how they were last year, it's still early. I would have found a way to put them here. I would have put the Diamondbacks here. I don't know where, but I think they should have made this list. I understand they're struggling. They're 4th in their own division, but I would have had them here. I'm a big fan of this team. Again, Cleveland, I don't understand how they're not here. I'm sorry. I understand you probably think they're going to regress, but they're still a great team. The offense has been incredible, so I don't understand. I don't understand why they're not here. They should be, and I think that Guardians fans have the right to be mad if they look at this list. That's kind of it. I think otherwise they did a pretty good job. I think that overall there's some teams that shouldn't be here. There's some teams that are a little too high. The Astros, teams that should be here. Diamondbacks, Brewers, Guardians. But it's very it's a very hard list to make, so I understand they couldn't fit all the teams, and it is only 11 teams here, so I understand it, and it does make sense, even though I do disagree with some of the takes. So, all right, so that was our show for today, guys. That was the end of segment 4. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to not only get notified when I upload, when every other great content creator on this channel uploads as well. So, again, thank you so much for watching. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram for more content and updates. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. Have a great day, and we'll see if baseball throws at us tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet.